Hello students, how are you all doing? I hope all of you are doing well. In the last class, we were reading the story The Lost Child. We read half part of it, where the child makes a very bold request to his parents to let him go to the roundabout, which is merry-go-round. Now let's read the story and find out what happens next. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently and he made a bold request. I want to go on the roundabout. Please, father, mother. So, till here we have read in the previous class. Now, let's continue. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. Ahead of him. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. So the child was trying to look for his parents, but he couldn't find them. And he got really confused, thinking that he was lost. Where was his parents? A full deep cry rose within him, and his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, Mother, father, mother, father, he wailed. Wailed means he cried. He was crying out for his parents. Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and fierce. Now here hot and fierce means very intense. He cried very intensely because obviously he thought that he was lost in a crowded fair. So he cried very badly. His flushed face was convulsed with fear. Means it was full of fear. Panic-stricken, he ran to one side first, then to the other, hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became dirty or muddy. Students hear the phrase hither and thither means here and there. So he was going all here and there because he wanted to look for his parents. They were nowhere to be seen. As you can see, the boy's clothes in the picture has become really muddy, and in the second picture also you can see there's an example of turban. This is what we call turban. Now, having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass, he could see, through his filmy eyes, men and women talking. He tried to look intently. Intently means with full attention. He really did not want to miss the chance of finding his parents. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes. But there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Now students, shrine means a place where you go for seeking devotion to the deity. In the picture you can see there's a shrine, and also in the picture you can see that people are laughing and talking in the crowd like they were doing in the fair. Okay, now let's continue. Every little inch of space here was congested, which means extremely crowded. Crowded with whom? With men. But he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, and heavy men with flashing murderous eyes with hefty shoulders. So students, here the word jostle means pushing each other. Okay, shoving each other. Hefty shoulders means very heavy shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements, he might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at highest pitch of his voice, Father, mother! A man in the surging crowd heard his cry, and stooping with great difficulty, lifted him up in his arms. So students, he was really small kid and he was like running here and there looking for his parents. And he was shouting so loudly that a very kind man found him and he stooped down and he lifted up in his arms. How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever, now and only cried, I want my mother, I want my father. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. Will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs and he only shouted, I want my mother, I want my father. Shrill means very sharp and high pitched. Okay. So obviously he was crying really sharp, really high pitched because he was looking for his parents. The man headed towards a place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. Listen to that nice music, child, he pleaded, which means he requested. But the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double-pitched strain. I want my mother, I want my father. The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. So you can see, students, how well the stranger is trying to console the child. The stranger wants the child to stop crying. That is why he is trying to show him the things that a child might like. So now he has taken him to the balloon seller who was selling very bright colored balloons so that the child will want to have the balloon and stop crying. Would you like a rainbow colored balloon? He persuasively asked, which means he asked very convincingly. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. So students, as you can see that how badly he wanted these things which are being offered to him now. But he is saying no to each and everything. He doesn't want the balloons. He doesn't want the snake charmer's music. He is not wanting to do anything. Rather, he's just crying for his mother and just crying for his father. The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower seller sat. Look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put round your neck? So remember, he wanted to have a garland of gulmohar. Now he is being offered by that strange man, by the stranger who was trying to help the child. The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated this sob. I want my mother, I want my father. Thinking to humor his disconsolate charge by a gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. Now reiterated word here means repeated. So as you can see, you might have noticed that he's repeating this sentence, I want my mother, I want my father. He doesn't want anything else except his mother and father. What sweets would you like, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and again only sobbed. I want my mother, I want my father. So students, do you remember I told you the favorite sweet of the child was barfi. Now he was being offered the barfi. The stranger asked him, what sweet would you like to eat? But then he said no. He did not eat any sweets. Rather, he was only crying, I want my mother, I want my father. Now students, this is where the story ends. Where the child gets lost in the fair and he was looking for his parents. He was moving here and there, running here and there, but he was not able to find his parents. Now let's see what is the summary of the story. Okay. The story is about a child and his parents who are going to a fair. On their way to the fair, the child sees a toy shop and asks his parents to buy him a toy. But his father stared at him and he understood the father's silent no, because his father was not allowing him to buy anything. Then, to divert his mind, his mother called him up to the mustard field. The child saw various things on his way to the fair, such as insects, doves. I told you insects, they came out teeming from the place where they were hiding. So they were coming out to take the bright sunshine, to enjoy the warmth of the nature. Insects, doves, butterflies, and so on. In the fair also, he sees various things such as sweets, balloons, but he did not request his parent to buy anything for him because he knew what would be the answer. It would be no. The parents will say no to each and everything that he wanted to buy. So he murmured and moved on. On reaching the roundabout, he could not resist himself and made a bold request, saying that he wants to go on a roundabout. And when he turned back for the reply, his mother and father were not there. He was confused and ran here and there. He knew that his mother and father was nowhere to be seen, and he was fearing that he might be lost. He ran to the shrine and fell down. It was then that the kind man came to help him. He offered him everything that he wanted earlier, but the child refused and cried only for his parents. He did not buy anything that the man was offering him, whether be it garland of gulmohar or sweets, or he was also offered to buy balloons. He also requested him to sit on the roundabout that he really wanted to do, but the child just cried and cried for his parents. He refused everything and was only looking for his parents. This story shows that the child's parents were the center, and the parents were the meaning of his life, and all the other rest of the things, all the materialistic things were optional. He wanted them, but not at the cost of his parents. So his parents were, he was really close, really affected to his parents. Now students, let's just quickly discuss the question answers from your book. So I'm going to read out the question. You please try to answer them with your understanding of the chapter, okay? Okay, now let's begin. The first question is, what are the things the child sees on his way to the fair? And why does he lag behind? So first of all, tell me students, what are the things that the child sees? On his way to the fair, the child sees toys, balloons of different colors, garland of gulmohar, a roundabout, and a snake charmer playing flute. Now the second part of the question, why does he lag behind? The child lags behind because he was fascinated by all the things he sees on his way. At times he stops to buy the toy, and other times he is either admiring the beauty of the nature or he is drawn by beautiful things around him. Question number 2. In the fair, he wants many things. What are they? Why does he move on without waiting for an answer? I know students, all of you know the answer. The child wants many things in the fair. He wanted to have toys, different sweets, garland of gulmohar, balloons of different colors, and a keen desire to enjoy the ride of roundabout. But also the second part, why does he move on without waiting for an answer? Yes, he moves on without waiting for an answer because he knew very well that his request would be refused every time. Right, students? He knew that his father is not going to allow him to buy anything. Right? Okay. Now let's come to question number 3. When does he realize that he has lost his way? How have his anxiety and security been described? Okay, students, try to answer. The child sees a roundabout in the fair and gets attracted to it. He wants to have a ride on it. He asks his parents for permission to enjoy it. Having no response on the part of his parents, he realizes that he has lost his way. Now, how does he react? He starts crying bitterly at once, tears roll down from his face, and runs here and there in search of them, in search of their parents. Now moving on to question number 4. Why does the lost child lose interest in the things that he wanted earlier? So students, all of you know that he was wanting a lot of things. I told you in the previous class, he wanted a lot of things, but later on when he was being offered all those things, he just declined. He did not accept any of the things. The answer is very simple, students. The child lost interest in the things that he wanted earlier as he was lost, and he wanted to see his parents immediately. The man who saw that he was lost tried to distract his attention so that he would not panic. He tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. But the child refused, asking only for his parents. So he only wanted to meet his parents back. He had lost all the interest in the things that he really wanted to have earlier. Okay? Because definitely his parents were nowhere to be found, and he thought that he has lost his way. So in that case, nobody would like to have anything. If your parents are with you, you are happy and you want a lot of things. But if you are lost, you are detached from your parents, you will not like to have any materialistic things in your life. Yes, very good. Now moving on to the last question. What do you think happens in the end? Does the child find his parents? So students, it's a very provocative and it's a very interesting question. What do you think? Will he be able to find his parents, or he remains lost? No, right? Definitely not. Yes, I feel that the child finds its parents at last. The kind-hearted person must have tried his level best to find his parents. On the other hand, the parents of the child must have left no stones unturned to find their child. So this is no stones unturned means, students, they tried their level best to find out, because the parents must also be looking for the child. It's not just that the child is crying for the parents. The parents will also be worried that where is the child, where's the child. So both of them were trying to find each other, and as a result, I'm sure that they must have succeeded and they have a happy ending. They found each other and they will be having a happy ending. So students, we have reached to the end of this chapter. I hope it was easy for all of you to understand, right? And I also hope that you learn something or the other from this story. Okay, students, goodbye and take care.